Okay, so we're going to take a look at Elizabeth's action project. Okay, so the light painting seems to have been a hit because I think that's at least three students who chose to do this for their action project, and that just kind of indicates to me that that was a good assignment. Okay, so working with the glow sticks again. Wow, this one has a really interesting background. It, I guess you're outdoors. This must be kind of a landscape. I'm not exactly sure. I'll point out a couple. It looks like a tree and like a skyline in there. I don't know if you had your camera on a tripod, because if that's the case, unless it was super windy, I would think that the stuff in the background would be a little bit more in focus. But nevertheless, let me just point out a couple of things that I think are really interesting about this, and a couple of things that could probably be better. And of course, it's very difficult to know what you're going to get when you're doing this. So it's kind of hit or miss, but you got some really interesting repeated lines and textures. This kind of smooth, curved, repeated line here, and kind of a scribbly line here, and then this part seems to be coming a little closer to us. It's very, very obvious when you're moving closer and farther away from us, because these things do come along and overlap. Now, and this little subtle loop right here I think is kind of nice. Now, compositionally, what I would like to see is fuller utilization of the image area. And I know that's kind of hard to do when you're um, just kind of, you have no idea what you're going to get. But after a couple of practice runs, if you do this and you realize, oh, okay, these are really not taking up quite enough space. I wish that this was, maybe about 1.5 times larger than it is. I think that would be really nice, so that it's kind of activating these areas over in here. And so, take a look at your viewfinder. I'm sorry, your monitor on the back of the camera, and if they seem to not be taking up the space, either move closer or ask your subject to take up bigger amount of space in the moving around, because you really want to activate all four edges of your picture plane. Okay, now this one's really interesting. I can't, this is like a really dark image on a dark slide, in PowerPoint. So I can't really tell where the photograph ends or begins, but it's working if it stopped right about here. And I really like this kind of ball. It looks like a little ball of energy or something. I'm not exactly sure, but it looks like something is moving around and creating almost like a spherical form in the light trails, and because it's clustered very densely in the center here, and then less so on the outside. You get like a really nice kind of intensity in the middle, and then with a subtle fading edge on the outside, which really works nicely. Okay, this one looks like kind of like a heart. So yeah, this one's nice. I think that it's, maybe a little bit too close to a heart, to be as interesting as the other two. But I mean, it looks good. Whoops, sorry about that. It looks good. I am curious about your background and why it got so blurry. I'm not sure if the tripod was moving or something. Or were you using your remote to click the shutter? Because if you push the button when it's on the tripod, that can also cause some movement. Or it could just be that is somebody moving around back there. It's kind of hard to tell, and the ambiguity is actually pretty cool. Just kind of bringing up a couple of things to think about. Now this one is really nice. Okay, this so far is your best one. I'm really responding to the background in this one. It's out of focus, but it's in a good way. I don't know how you're getting these unusual greens and oranges, but they're really working. And then I get the sense that, I'm not really sure what this dark form is, if it's a person holding a glow stick or if it's something else, but I'm getting the sense that there's like some kind of form inside this. This is almost like it reminds me a little bit of like a dandelion, the top of a dandelion, like some kind of solid form that's encased in a sphere of kind of fluffy things. So that one I think is so far really the strongest, and this one has a very kind of eerie look to it, and this shocking cool blue against these greens and oranges. I mean, the color is just like spot on that one. So that one's really nice. Yeah, and not as interesting. I think the ones where you try to be a little too contained aren't working as well because there's not a lot of mystery to this one. And I think that's why this one and this one are your two strongest ones, because there's an ambiguity to these. Whereas this one and this one, they don't really tell a story so much as like it looks like a person was standing there, making two circles or whatever. And so I think that the ones where you don't try to control it so much, you get much better results. Just letting the unexpected happen, and just taking tons and tons of exposures, and choosing your best ones. Okay, yeah, and this one too. I would just say the the geometric forms just aren't anywhere near as interesting as what you have going on here and here. And so, what I would love to see is more of something like these two, and less of the, kind of expected, geometric or symbolic forms. So this is uneven as far as quality goes. I think that these ones are just definitely more interesting. It's really hard to kind of do something like this and make it visually intriguing in some way. And so I think when we compare them side by side like that, it becomes pretty apparent. Okay, so those are my thoughts on this one. I'm going to go ahead and move to the conclusion page. And it is very fun to do, yes.